I'm glad you're out of the way.
After returning from a client visit, the CEO told me to consider early retirement. As a self-professed workaholic, I planned to work until the official retirement age, so the sudden layoff announcement left me quite shaken. Although I refused, the CEO persuaded me with his tears, and I finally accepted the early retirement. I handed over my responsibilities to my colleague, Kevin, but he turned out to be a despicable man who secretly looked down on me. By the time I realized his true nature, it was too late, and the day of my retirement had arrived. As everyone came to see me off, Kevin whispered to me, "Good, take care of the rest." Showing his true colors, Kevin insulted me by saying I was in the way, boasting that he would grow the company even without me. I told him one last thing. My name is Mark Harper, 56 years old. I work for a company that deals in construction machinery sales and rentals. I'm recognized as a workaholic, having hustled as a salesman since my youth. Currently, as the sales manager, I'm entrusted with training the younger staff, but I've been thinking more about life after retirement. Having devoted so much time to work, I secretly look forward to immersing myself in finding new hobbies in retirement. But at this time, I had no idea that the company was under a certain threat. I'll take my leave then. I left the office after parting ways with Jones Company's representative, with whom our company has had a long-standing close relationship. I had come today intending for a routine meeting, but the representative told me something unbelievable, and I was greatly disturbed inside. It's been a recession for a while now. I never imagined hearing such a thing. Muttering to myself, I walked home. Upon returning to the office, I was immediately instructed to come to the CEO's office. Wondering, I knocked on the door of the CEO's office. "Excuse me, William, do you need something?" The CEO inside had a notably somber expression. Seeing his face, I instantly realized this was not going to be good news.
Mark, you've been working here for a long time, haven't you?
Yes, that's right.
You are a workaholic, staying late since your younger days.
William started reminiscing instead of getting straight to the point.
Do you remember bringing a sleeping bag because you stayed so late?
Oh, that was youthful folly. Now, I'm careful not to work overtime for the sake of my health. We reminisced about tough times, enjoyable moments, and successful big projects. However, he hadn't called me just to reminisce about the old days. I've known him since our youth and understand his character quite well. He's a bit timid, but not someone to waste time. I decided to broach the main topic myself. "William, did you call me here for another reason?"
Well, yes.
The CEO's expression darkened suddenly after reminiscing. Then he cleared his throat and looked me in the eyes.
I hate to say this, but I need to ask you to consider early retirement.
What? I had sensed it wasn't good news, but hadn't imagined it would be a layoff. Why is that?
You know as well as I do, our workforce is aging. We've had no new graduates for the last 2 years.
Apparently, the company was encouraging early retirement for employees of a certain age to rejuvenate the organization. Now that I think about it, a senior colleague from another department had suddenly left some time ago. I never thought he would quit, so he must have been encouraged to retire by the CEO.
We'll provide a proper severance package. I hate to ask this, but will you accept the offer?
William, I'd prefer to work until the official retirement age if possible. I spoke honestly.
I know you've been a big help to our company all this time, but we can't grow if we don't bring in younger employees.
Even though we're already short-staffed, I'm still useful.
Didn't you just say your eyesight and physical strength are declining? If you suddenly fell ill and had to take leave, it would put us in a tough spot.
I was at a loss for words at his remarks. During a casual conversation, I had mentioned to him that my eyesight was worsening and that climbing stairs was becoming difficult. Indeed, health checks have become scary since I hit my 50s. No major illnesses have been found yet. But if I suddenly collapsed, it would be a burden to the company.
Can't you pass on your knowledge to the younger employees and consider retiring?
I couldn't just nod and agree easily. However, after more than an hour of discussion, the CEO pleaded with tears, and I finally accepted early retirement. Then he showed a relieved expression with tears in his eyes.
I'm sorry, Mark.
I owe you a lot, William. Even though I said that, my feelings were mixed. But I decided to focus on doing the things I wanted to do after retirement while I still had the energy. Well, I'll take my leave then. I need to start handing over tasks to my colleagues before my retirement date.
Thank you. I'm counting on you.
With that, I left the CEO's office. It might have been the shock of being suddenly fired, but I realized I hadn't reported on my meeting with Jones Company's representative. But I had already left, and I didn't feel like reporting because of the shock. That's why I'm going to retire at the end of this month, i.e., having accepted early retirement, informed my team member, Kevin. Kevin, 38, is a salesman in our department. He might have a somewhat frivolous personality, but he uses his agility to secure contracts better than his peers.
Are you really quitting, Mark?
When I told him about my retiring, Kevin was obviously surprised. It's understandable for him to be shocked when his boss suddenly says he's quitting. Yeah, due to some circumstances.
That's a shame.
Kevin looked downcast, but he quickly lifted his face and stood tall.
But even if you leave, you'll always be a great senior to me.
It's nice of you to say that. Let's start the handover process then.
Yes.
I tried to pass on the experience and knowledge I had accumulated to Kevin. While creating a manual, I taught him the job details. So at this company, after confirming by phone,
Well, Mark,
while we were doing the handover on the computer, Kevin furrowed his brow and spoke up. Yes. What is it?
you're a bit close.
I hadn't realized until Kevin pointed it out. Trying to see the computer screen, I had leaned forward, and my body was pressing against Kevin, who was sitting. The moment I realized, I hurriedly backed away. Whoa, sorry. My eyesight has gotten worse recently, and I'm having trouble seeing the text.
Presbyopia, huh? I guess you're at that age, Mark.
Kevin said it casually, but words like presbyopia and age stung a bit. You don't have to put it that plainly. It kind of hurts, you know? Kevin apologized in a light tone, trying to hide his discomfort.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It took several days to complete the handover process. Sometimes Kevin and I clashed in opinions, almost ruining the manual creation. But my retirement day was drawing near. Kevin often unintentionally steps on people's toes, but is straightforward with his words. I believed he would manage the work even after I was gone. But one day, I stopped by the break room to get some coffee. However, what I heard from the break room was a conversation between a female employee and Kevin.
Man, I was really shocked to hear that Mark is quitting.
Realizing they were talking about me, I unintentionally hid and eavesdropped.
So, I'm doing the handover of his work during my job, but it's really creepy how close he gets.
I almost blurted out, "What?" I had no idea he thought that way when we were working.
The guy's an old man, can barely read the print. It's good he's quitting early.
I was stunned by his words. Kevin was bad-mouthing me.
He's always acting all high and mighty, so it's refreshing that he's leaving. Thanks to that, I'm the next sales manager.
I came to drink coffee, but after hearing Kevin's conversation, I quickly left the spot. Even back at my desk, his words lingered in my mind. As I sat brooding alone, Kevin came back.
Huh? Mark, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?
Kevin looked concerned as he tried to peer at me, but I hastily shook my head. No, I was just nodding off a bit.
Is that so? Well, I'm relieved it's not your health issue.
Kevin seemed friendly, but he had just spoken ill of me. His act was so natural that I realized he must have been looking down on me behind my back all along. I wish I hadn't found that out. Despite the awkward atmosphere, I managed to finish my remaining work. I completed the handover to Kevin, and finally, my retirement day arrived.
I'm sad, Mark. I wished you could have stayed at this company longer.
Kevin said with tears at the corner of his eyes. However, knowing his true feelings, I saw right through his fake tears.
Mark, you've been a great help since I joined the company. I'll keep rooting for you.
Wiping his fake tears, Kevin showed a bright smile. Then the employees gave me a bouquet, and I prepared to leave the company. Immediately, Kevin and the others followed me.
We'll see you out to the front of the company.
If I hadn't heard the conversation in the break room, I would have believed he was a thoughtful and good man. But I couldn't see him in the same light anymore. Despite my mixed feelings, since it was my retirement day after all, I decided to walk out with Kevin and the others.
Wow, I was surprised when I heard you were retiring, but it really is sad.
As we walked, he initiated the conversation.
Just thinking about you not being here makes me wonder if I can really handle it.
He sounded genuinely sad, but I couldn't quite respond properly. "You'll be fine."
No, I'm not the man Mark is. I'm anxious about whether I can handle it.
Then we reached the front entrance, where the employees lined up to see me off. Kevin stepped forward as their representative. His eyes were very moist.
This being the last time, I really have nothing but thanks for Mark.
Kevin tried to express his gratitude, but choked up. However, I had long realized it was a lie. Intending a small revenge, I whispered in his ear, "Kevin, you don't have to act. You're relieved I'm leaving, aren't you?" I said softly, and Kevin showed his surprised look, but quickly grinned.
So, you noticed, right?
"It's only recently that I found out you didn't think highly of me, perhaps thinking there was no longer any need to pretend." Kevin looked at me with a smirk. "Have you been looking down on me behind my back all this time?"
Don't say it like I've been looking down on you. Everyone has someone they dislike, right?
In a roundabout way, he called me someone he dislikes. Feeling betrayed by someone I considered a valuable team member, anger welled up within me. "I thought you were just a light-hearted guy, but I actually valued you."
That was your misjudgment, Mark. You really aren't great at reading people, are you?
Because we were whispering, the employees behind us were looking at us with puzzled expressions.
Well, I did owe you for some things, Mark, but
With that, he winked at me.
I'm thankful you're out of the way.
I never wanted to discover that my own younger colleague looked down on me. But here, Kevin himself revealed his true colors. It's a harsh reality, but I have to accept it.
So could you leave quickly? I'm the sales manager starting today, and I'm busy.
He waved his hand dismissively as if to hurry me along.
Rest assured, I'll fulfill the duties. Mark, please enjoy the rest of your life leisurely.
Life isn't that sweet, Kevin.
Better than you, who can barely see the computer screen anymore, right?
Continuing this conversation seemed likely to push my stress levels over the edge. Would I really be defeated in my final moments here and just leave the company this way?
Whatever troubles arise, we'll overcome them with our capabilities, so don't worry.
Kevin gestured to the employees behind him and puffed out his chest. That's when I remembered what the representative from Jones' company had told me. Are you really sure you can manage without me?
Yes, I'll use what Mark taught me to further boost our company.
Kevin said. Right, everyone? Trying to get agreement from the other employees. They, oblivious to everything, gave me a thumbs up saying, "Leave it to us. Then there's no need for me to help you out, no matter what happens."
Yes,
At his response, I smiled slyly. Good. Then I'll leave it all to you.
yes.
Satisfied with Kevin's assertive response, I nodded. Before leaving the company, I had one more thing to say to them. Watch out for Jones' company. They're going bankrupt soon.
What?
I bowed my head to Kevin and the others one last time and left the company. As I stepped outside and looked back, the employees were standing there, pale-faced. When I had visited Jones' company before, their representative told me he was changing jobs. And while he was at it, he secretly told me this. Jones' company and our company were founded around the same time. We had built a deep trust through transactions that were mutually beneficial. That also meant we were heavily dependent on each other. In fact, Jones' company had been struggling financially for years and was late on its promissory note payments. Things had gone too far, leading them into operational difficulties. The representative had found a new job before the bankruptcy. If our main partner goes bankrupt, our company might follow suit. Kevin and the others should know how crucial Jones' company is to us. That's why the bankruptcy should have raised an alarm for us as well. But Kevin had boasted that he could manage without me. What will happen next? Even I don't know. That evening, as I was at home, Kevin called me. "What's the matter, Kevin? Missing me already?" I said leisurely, and on the other end of the line, he sounded panicked.
Never mind that. Why didn't you tell us?
Tell you what,
That Jones company is going bankrupt. Right after you left, we got a call from them.
it seems the deal was completely cut off.
Why didn't you tell us earlier?
I thought the boss knew about it. Besides, I was too busy with your handover work to deal with anything else. Kevin clicked his tongue and then sighed heavily.
Our boss is really shaken up.
Well, you just have to find a new business partner. Should be a piece of cake for a salesman like you, right? When I said that to provoke him, Kevin sounded annoyed. Huh?
Is this some kind of harassment? Because it's really annoying.
I wonder why. When someone I dislike is in a bad mood, it feels rather refreshing. I self-deprecatingly thought that I might have a rather nice personality. Harassment? That's not my intention at all. Whatever happens, you can handle it, Kevin.
Damn. Just because you quit doesn't mean you get to act all high and mighty.
He was cursing on the other end of the phone. While he was talking to me, he was probably busy looking for a new business partner. Is the purpose of this call just to complain to me? If you have time for this, go find it on your own.
Wait a minute.
With that, I ended the call. I've quit, so whatever happens to the company isn't my concern anymore. Whether they find a new partner and survive, or go down together, it no longer involves me. I have my own things to do, and won't be dealing with them anymore. That's what I thought. But a month later, Kevin contacted me again. It was on my home phone, so I accidentally picked it up. Yes, this is Mark.
Mark.
That voice. Is that you, Kevin? I'm not free right now. What do you want? As soon as I realized it was Kevin on the line, I almost hung up. However, his next words made me pause.
Mark, can you come back to the company?
What?
Things are tough at the company right now.
After I retired, especially the sales department has been working frantically every day. Kevin and the others need to find new clients and sell or rent out construction equipment. But it seems they are not doing well. That's right. The company always had a habit of buying too much construction equipment. It always ended up with too much stock, making it hard to sell.
That's exactly it. The other guys are unreliable, and our CEO is no help.
Kevin blaming others made me annoyed. Hey, what about you? What are you doing about it?
Me? I'm working harder than anyone. If I'm assertive, they'll listen to me.
Saying that, Kevin was back to his usual bragging. Then why are you calling me?
Like I said earlier, the guys in sales are useless and nobody is making any deals. That's why we need your help, Mark.
What? I couldn't believe his words. When I was leaving the company, he had cursed me as a nuisance. And now, he was asking for my help. Come back to the company? You must be joking.
You could easily land contracts, couldn't you? You were the sales manager after all.
Despite looking down on me, he quickly turns to me when in trouble. I had no intention of helping Kevin. I've already quit. It's up to you guys to combine your efforts and do your best. So long.
What? Really?
Kevin was still ranting, but I ignored him and hung up the phone. Kevin, who had relied on me, was sunk. He continued to work in sales, but it was hard to find good trading partners. With Jones' company gone bankrupt, his company was not making profits and was on the brink of a financial crisis. Although Kevin was shaken by the situation, it was the CEO who showed the most panic. In addition to the sales slump, there was also a shortage of staff. The CEO had been trying to revitalize the organization by soliciting early retirements from older employees. At that time, the bankruptcy of a major client turned the staff reduction strategy into a curse, resulting in the loss of experienced veteran employees. This led to an even more critical situation for the company. Kevin tried to outperform other employees in this situation, desperately continuing sales efforts. However, in his eagerness, he resorted to aggressive solicitation and attempting to steal clients by criticizing other companies. As a result, he earned disapproval from peers and was ostracized by the industry as a whole. A few months later, the company's debts exceeded $150 million. Originally, the company had grown significantly and was respected in the industry. But now, they lived in fear of defaulting on their payments. If a second bounce check occurred, bankruptcy was inevitable. One day, after I had submitted a business registration form to the tax office, I bumped into Kevin on the street. "Oh, Kevin."
Mark.
He was apparently on an outside call, carrying paper bags full of documents and catalogs in both hands. "You've lost a lot of weight. Those dark circles under your eyes are terrible." I unintentionally muttered that, seeing him in person, salesman Kevin always cared about his appearance and was always neatly dressed. However, the man in front of me looked worn out, the very picture of a corporate drone.
My boss has ordered me to work overtime until I meet the quota.
Apparently, the company was still not showing any signs of improvement. Despite being taken aback by Kevin's changed demeanor, I felt no sympathy. Well, isn't this situation kind of self-inflicted? It's karma for looking down on me.
You could be a little kinder, you know. I'm doing my best here.
Kevin glared at me resentfully.
This whole mess we're in, it's all your fault.
Don't say such awful things. Weren't you happy when you heard I was leaving? Our glaring match continued. Realizing this was going nowhere, I decided to end the conversation and leave. "Sorry to bother you when you're busy. Good luck with your sales." I tried to leave without making eye contact with Kevin, but suddenly, he grabbed my arm from behind. "Hey, let me go."
Just come with me, please.
Kevin's grip on my arm tightened. Despite repeatedly telling him to let go, he wouldn't listen and forcefully dragged me along. "Hey, Kevin, where are you taking me?" His forceful pulling really got on my nerves. "Seriously, you haven't changed one bit with your forceful attitude." I threw some sarcasm at him as he silently tried to take me somewhere, but he hardly reacted. The place Kevin brought me to was the office. "What? You bring me to the office? And what do you want?" Kevin ignored my words and called out to the sales department employees.
I've brought Mark back.
The employees, like Kevin, had severe dark circles under their eyes, clearly showing their lack of sleep. The atmosphere in the office was more dismal than when I was there. Everyone's desks were buried under piles of documents, and the potted plants in the corner were covered in dust. They were so caught up in their own work that they couldn't attend to anything else. As soon as the employees saw my face, their expressions brightened up. It was as if they had seen a savior. They all crowded around me.
"We've been waiting for you, Mark. We can't get any work done without you."
It seemed they all believed I had returned on my own and were overly relieved. But I was just forcibly brought here by Kevin. Wait a minute. I never said I was coming back to work. I stepped back from the circle of employees.
"What? But Kevin said."
One employee said, turning to look at Kevin. "Kevin, what did you say?" He looked uncomfortable.
I may have told everyone that I would convince Mark to come back.
No wonder they were all so happy to see me. He must have brought me here intending to depend on me, making a declaration in his own favor. I couldn't hold back my irritation at such a selfish man. Don't make decisions without listening to others. I never once thought I wanted to come back here. I might have been a bit harsh, but I thought it necessary to make my position clear.
But look at this situation. Since Jones' company collapsed, our sales have not increased, and complaints from customers have risen.
Kevin retorted, and the employees chorused in agreement with him. What kind of complaints? While I was here, we had handled complaints, but now they were getting twice as many. Mostly, it was about rental equipment being defective or the appalling behavior of the staff during outside sales. Selling defective products? Of course, you're going to get complaints.
But seriously, we need to reduce the stock. It's critical. Please, Mark, help us find a solution.
I refuse. I'm going home. I've had enough of Kevin, who relies on others, and the employees who agree with him. They seem to be relying on others, but in reality, they just want to give up on their own work. I owed them no loyalty. Ignoring Kevin and the others who tried to stop me, I attempted to leave the office. At that moment, I ran into William, the CEO, in the corridor.
Oh, Mark, you came because you knew we were in trouble.
William approached me happily as soon as he saw me. That's not the case. I'm leaving now. Kevin chased after me into the corridor.
William, please convince Mark. He's being very stubborn, and I'm struggling here.
Not only Kevin, but now the CEO was trying to hold me back, pushing my frustration to its limit.
If you come back, I'll cancel your resignation. I might even consider a raise if you return.
What? So if Mark comes back, what happens to me? Will Mark be the sales manager again?
That would be the case. If Mark decides right now, I'll even consider a higher position for him.
What? That's unfair.
As I remained silent, Kevin and William started arguing. They were both supposed to be persuading me to stay, but they were too caught up in their own issues to see the bigger picture.
Most of these complaints are because of Kevin. I've received calls saying an employee named Kevin forcibly entered our office.
I was just selling at the address you gave me.
I didn't order you to make the clients uncomfortable. Don't embarrass me.
Fed up with a noisy argument happening right in front of me, I was completely disgusted. I decided to leave without saying a word. As I opened the front door of the office, I ran into a group of unfamiliar people outside. Before I could say, "Excuse me," they asked, "Where's the CEO?" "The CEO is right there." I pointed behind me to William, and they rushed towards him.
Yikes.
Upon seeing the group that had come from outside, William stepped back and became extremely agitated. It seems he must have been quite reluctant to meet them, given how upset he got. Then the group confronted him, demanding, "You're overdue on the payment deadline. Pay back the money you borrowed immediately." Hearing this, I quickly realized they were creditors. It seems William, troubled by cash flow issues, had been borrowing money from everywhere.
That's still.
Surrounded by creditors, he fumbled for words and became flustered. "At least tell us when you will pay." They pressed him, causing him to shrink even more.
Hey, Kevin, do something.
Me? I can't say anything about this.
Suddenly thrust into the spotlight, Kevin showed signs of panic. Faced with the fierce looks of the creditors, he couldn't respond and hid behind William. It was a pitiful sight.
We will provide an explanation later, so please, could you leave for today?
William begged in a subdued tone, trying to send the creditors away. However, perhaps because the payment was already delayed, they were not easily appeased and their anger peaked.
It's abrupt to expect explanations now. If you saw our situation, you'd understand we're desperate to sell our products.
Without fulfilling his duty to explain, William only offered excuses. Kevin behind him nodded in agreement, but such superficial words were unlikely to satisfy the creditors. As time went by, it became clear. Seeing William stalling, I realized he was just trying to buy time until they left. William, stalling like this isn't good.
Mark, quiet.
He put his finger to his lips, signaling me to keep silent. Realizing the excuses were just a way to stall, the creditors raised their voices in protest even more. Kevin and William, overwhelmed by the situation, looked like they were about to cry.
So, we will schedule a time for the explanation. Please leave for today.
Please, Mark, help us out here.
After witnessing their desperate faces, I left the office. Afterwards, I blocked their numbers to ensure they never contacted me again, severing all ties completely. The creditors strongly criticized William for not fulfilling his explanatory duties, accusing him of dishonesty. The company was isolated from peers and the industry due to its unstable response following Jones Company's bankruptcy. As the company's credibility plummeted, a second bounce check was issued, leading to a de facto bankruptcy. Employees struggled to find new jobs, stigmatized by the dishonor of having worked at such a company. Kevin managed to find another job, but being from a bankrupt company, he was treated like a harbinger of bad luck. Moreover, his notorious sales tactics from his previous job were discussed in reviews, and nobody trusted him. This led to even more isolation and backbiting at his new workplace. Despite having badmouthed me behind my back, he couldn't handle being spoken ill of himself and ended up taking unauthorized leave in shock. Kevin quit his new job after just 3 days and now lives off part-time jobs while frequenting the job center. Amidst this, he heard I had started my own business and called me.
Can I work for you, even as a part-timer, Mark?
Well, what should I do? When he called me, I was about to hang up immediately. But since I had heard from another employee that he couldn't fit in at his new job and had quit, I decided to listen to what he had to say. His voice on the phone lacked its usual briskness, and he sounded desperate.
I'll do anything you ask. I promise to work hard, please.
I responded to his plea immediately. No, you're a nuisance. I don't need you.
Oh no.
Kevin said the same thing to me before. I'm glad you're out of the way. Why would I hire someone like you? All I could hear from the phone was Kevin's breathing. He was probably searching for words to convince me. But I wasn't going to wait leisurely. Hopefully, you find another job soon. Goodbye.
Wait, Mark. I'm sorry. So, because...
Before he could finish his sentence, I ended the call. I run a small cafe in an upscale neighborhood. Having worked nonstop until now, I had longed for a job where I could brew coffee in a relaxed atmosphere. Most of my customers are couples who have finished raising their kids and have time to spare, with 2 or 3 pairs visiting daily. As I listen to their stories and brew coffee, I savor these moments of modest